This mutation is called the Quick and the Dead. We have two mutators active on Dead of Night. We have Black Death and we have Speed Freaks. We have Vorazun and Karax, who will be attempting to do this mutation. I think one thing to note about this particular mission is Vorazun's Vorazun's emergency recall ability. So her emergency recall is upon taking fatal damage, friendly cloaked or borrowed units are recalled to their owner's primary structure. So what can happen is if a Dark Templar is affected by Black Death, it will be recalled back to the Nexus over here, and eventually it will die. And what can happen is it can infect a large number of probes and you will end up losing a mineral line. So that is one thing to note when you are dealing with this mutation, is that you can actually end up losing a mineral line if you're not paying attention. Over here, Karax, a relatively good commander for defensive structures, and his Immortals and his other units are also really expensive, so we'll see what strategy Karax chooses to use to try and help the ally clear. One thing that is useful to note is that the Solar Flare upgrade for the Spear of Idun, its Solar Lance ability, it can actually be used to clear out lines of buildings because it sets the buildings. Well, it sets the ground on fire, which deals continuous damage to buildings. So getting that upgrade on this mission is very, very useful, and I would highly recommend it. So we have over here, Karax is starting to seal himself in through the Dark Pylon's cloaking field here. This may work, but the special infested around here are detectors, so we'll see how they choose to hold the side. And yes, spires are definitely one of the more annoying units that can be faced here. They will end up disabling that pylon and removing the cloak, which can cause the commanders to end up losing their entire thing here. As you can see over here, the infested are actually being walled off and they're not able to get through, which is actually really good here for Karax and Vorazun. This will allow them to slowly go ahead and clear the mission over here. Unfortunately, there is a Hunterling on this side, and this Hunterling is going to start wrecking some havoc. Has already taken a 1 probe, 2 probe, 3 probe, 4 probes already, and 5 probes go down, and it is causing a lot of havoc here. Dark Templars get dropped here, the Shadow Guard, and they clean up that Hunterling. But yeah, very important to actually clear these Hunterlings here, because the Hunterlings can have the Plague with them. And if they do have Plague, it will start causing a lot of havoc, and that could be very, very bad for the commanders. One thing you can do to stop this Hunterling that keeps jumping across here and harassing a mineral line is put a pylon on this part here. If you were to drop a pylon here, you can stop the Hunterling from jumping on that high ground, and the Hunterling will have to wrap around and go to this main base. But over here, this hold is relatively decent for both the commanders, and we'll see what the next strategy the commanders will choose to use are, because they still have to end up clearing this mission. They can hold indefinitely, I think, as long as they don't get overwhelmed by some of the detectors there, but they still have to end up clearing these enemy structures, so we'll see how they choose to do it. Overall, Karax is doing okay. Still no upgrades though on Karax's side for the attack speed. Getting the attack speed upgrade is also very useful for especially for the later stages of the game, where you will have a lot of these infested here. But this hold is, it seems to be okay.
Upgrade complete.
We still have another minute on the timer. Let's have a look at the production actually. So it looks like Vorazun is going for mass void rays. So that is okay. I guess the void rays will not be teleported back to the base, which might be useful for the emergency recall. The risk of that. But we have 3 void rays coming out for Vorazun mass void rays. That'll be okay. Not particularly ideal for regular missions, but I think the void rays here are a great pick. Purely because you do not want your units ending up in your base here with the emergency recall and ending up dying to the Black Death and infecting your entire probe line. But let's see over here. There's another Hunterling that's coming up on this side. Cannons here. Hunterling aggroes that cannon. There is a risk that Karax actually might get his probes infected here. Hunterlings can carry the plague, so very important for Karax to pay attention to this to these Hunterlings, and because they will harass these areas. But we have a bunch of pylons now that have been put down for Vorazun, which is okay. I'm not sure what the purpose of the pylons are, other than providing an extra field, I guess. But these Void Rays are now going to make their way here, and Vorazun will try and clear these enemy bases out. He's going to have to be really careful, because this plague can end up infecting these units if these units get nearby. You can see over there that medic is infected. We have a time stop that comes down, ends up taking out this thing. I believe these Dark Templars are now affected by Plague, which will deal straight HP damage. As you can see over there, their HP is getting dropped. It's not their shields, which is what can cause a problem. And the other thing that can happen now is because the Shadow Guard was used, it is going to be recalled back to the Nexus. Raven is also infected. And there is a very, very high chance that this thing is going to get recalled back. I really want to see how this is going to get handled, because this Shadow Guard now is going to be dropped on this side over here and ends up dying. Okay, so they're getting recalled to north of the Nexus, which is somewhat lucky. I think if there are a large number of units, they could actually start wrapping around that Nexus, and eventually we'll end up getting lost there. Karax's Repair Beam is actually doing a relatively decent job here at healing these Void Rays. There's a Secret Missile that ends up going down on that Void Ray. Hits the Void Ray, but the Repair Beam for Karax is doing really well here. So Repair Beam upgrade has actually not been researched yet. Actually, we have the Solar Efficiency upgrade, which will help Karax provide some of the cooldowns. Another Secret Missile gets targeted on that Void Ray, but it has the immunity from Karax's passive, and overall Karax is just slowly ramping up, and we'll see what he's getting. He's getting the Warp Gate research, which is good. So I believe he wants to have some kind of ground force here to help his ally. As you can see there, like this Repair Beam is really fighting hard to beat the damage that is being caused from the Black Death Mutator. As long as these Void Rays remain alive, they will not spread their plague to the other Void Rays around them, so it's not really too bad. But yeah, there's a black hole that ends up coming down here, but these Marines will try to focus fire down one of these Void Rays to try and end up killing them. So that Void Ray ends up going down. I think it ends up infecting all these Void Rays on this side, and now we have the next day that has come around, and there is a Thor that is firing away, and its anti-air is actually really strong. So another Void Ray ends up going down here. Again, we have a bunch of infested units on this side, and I think all these Void Rays might end up being lost to the enemy defenders here. We have another couple of Void Rays here. So far, a total of 8 Void Rays have been lost here, and this area seems to be holding relatively well. We'll see what is the next special infested unit that will be spawning, and it's very likely that this is going to be more than 3 knights, so we might end up getting Stanks or Nihilus Worms. There is a note from Vorazun here, is that you need more cannons, more shield batteries. You're going to need a lot more defenses, and they're not wrong. The amount of infested that start spawning keep going up until night number 6, I believe. At which point it basically caps out. I'm not made of money. That's unfortunate for Karax. Even though his buildings are all gold, he's not made of money, unfortunately. So we have a Kaboomer over here, which is, I guess, okay. It would be good to have maybe a few Kaidaran monoliths to deal with these special infested units. Just manually targeting them may reduce the amount of damage these structures end up taking, but that's okay. There are a good number of static defenses so far, and Karax appears to have gotten like all of his upgrades for his cannons. Yeah, so he has the attack speed upgrade. One of these shield batteries have gone down, which means this cannon is exposed, unfortunately, and there's no way to actually repair that front line there, unless there is a very clever use of recall for Vorazun. So Vorazun can put down the Dark Pylon here and recall the probe on this side, but we also have now a black hole that has come down to just help deal with these special infested units. There are a lot of special infested here, that are dealing a lot of damage to this front line. We have some orbital strikes that end up going down just to take out these special infested. Shield battery line has essentially been wiped out, and there is a large wave of infested now on this side, and they have the detection from the special infested here, and they have breached through. Void Ray is coming to try and help this side, but we'll see whether that is enough. We have another Solar Lance that gets dropped here to try and weaken this, and now we have a Purifier Beam that has been dropped here as well. Just trying to hold this wave, just try and make sure that this whatever's left of this front line still remains, but there is a lot of damage that has been dealt here. There is a Raven as well here. Cast a Secret Missile on one of these Void Rays. Void Rays try to avoid it, but a little bit too late there. Saved by Karax's passive, does not take any damage to that Secret Missile, and now there's an Aberration that is working here, and now we have a nuke from one of the Ghosts, but the Ghost ends up getting killed by an Orbital Strike, and that is night number 2 completed. See, these Ghosts actually move really, really fast, and they will try and end up nuking the bases on this side. It is up to Karax to produce some more static defenses and make sure that he does not end up losing his units unnecessarily. Vorazun is on the side, slowly clearing this part. Has lost a lot of the Dark Pylons there that was supporting her supply. And there's another bunch of Void Rays on the side as well that are being used to clear. One of the things is, yeah, we have another cannon line that's being put down. This cannon line will be repaired. Unfortunately, the attack waves now will be coming up from all 4 sides. So Vorazun, I think, will be required to try and keep her Void Rays alive to help defend during this time. But Void Ray is trying to clear the side. A Plasma Blast goes down on one of those Void Rays takes out that Void Ray. Another Storm comes down here, and I think that one of these Void Rays may also go down. Oh no, gets saved by Karax's passive again. Karax's passive is actually really good for dealing with burst damage. When you're only trying to prevent damage from a Hybrid Dominator, having that Karax's passive is very nice. It just negates one high damage ability. Unfortunately, it's very, very difficult to use effectively because you do end up taking damage from a random Thor volley, and that will also trigger the Karax passive. These Void Rays are getting focused down by a bunch of Marines and a Viking. I don't think this other one is going to go down, but again, Vorazun is going to be struggling to clear the side. Can you make monoliths? Yes. So this was exactly what I was talking about. Having the Kaidaran monoliths here can help deal with the special infested, because the special infested actually deal a lot of damage. And yeah, Karax is a little bit low on money. I believe Karax has saturated their base, but building so much static defense is very, very difficult, and it does end up getting very, very expensive when you end up losing your structures. So nothing there. One thing that would be nice in co-op is to be able to share your minerals. I know why it is not done is because it would completely break the balance of co-op there. Certain commanders end up flowing a lot of minerals like Vorazun. Other commanders end up flowing a lot of gas like Zeratul, and having that is just like it can make missions significantly easy if commanders can share the resources. That down goes that Void Ray over there now, and we now have night number 3, and this night now will either bring a Stank or a Nidusworm. These rocks have been poked by this Dark Pylon over here. These rocks will probably end up getting aggroed by the Infested at some point, and so will these rocks here. I think these rocks are okay though. Unfortunately, the special infested are detectors, and as you can see here, the Kaboomer is not really. It would be much nicer to have maybe a choker. Chokers do have a very, very high range, so it will. Each special infested does have its problems, but the enemy aberrations are going to start pushing through here, and the aberrations as well. They deal a large amount of damage, but as you can see here, the black hole. The Black Hole Orbital Strike combo works really, really well here. A few more shield batteries do end up going down. I think that other one will also go down relatively quickly, and so will that one, I believe. And it just gets focused down by some of the infested that are there. And they are trying really, really hard to hold. The Repair Beam for Karax is working overtime now to try and keep this front line alive. Void Rays on this side are doing relatively well in pushing through and dealing with these infested. but as you can see, there is very, very little time on this mission. So we now have a bunch of Nice Worms that will be spawning. Orbital Strikes, unfortunately, not very effective against this one. This Nice Worm has actually a lot of HP, it has 2000 HP, so it is going to take a while to take these Nice Worms out. But we have another bunch of Void Rays on this side, and they are going to try and deal with this attack wave that has spawned, but they get infected by some of the Plague as well. And this is going to be a very, very tough challenge for Vorazun, just to slowly clear and slowly push through the mission and make sure they do not end up losing their armies. But as you can see, the amount of infested that are there makes it very, very difficult to clear. So overall, this side seems to be holding relatively well. This side is taking a little bit of a beating, and I think it is it is being taxed over here. This side has been cleared as well. The rocks have been broken down from the infested. But there are a bunch of static defenses on this side as well that are being able to hold this side relatively easily. This Boomer will also end up going down, but this side is going to be really, really difficult to clear and hold. I think there'll be a lot. There's a high requirement for some splash damage that is needed here to clear these infested units. And now we have day number 4. That was night number 3 that has been cleared, and we still have a lot of structures that are left here for Vorazun to end up clearing. As you can see over here, Vorazun is producing 5 Void Rays at a time. She is just trying to max out on these Void Rays. Has a total of 20 Void Rays so far, which is relatively decent, but there are a lot of structures that need to have to be cleared up on this side. But notice how Vorazun has split her army up. She has split in multiple sides here just to try and cover as much ground as possible. We have a time stop that comes down just to try and save that Void Ray, but unfortunately it doesn't end up getting shot down relatively quickly. But Vorazun's army now will be moving in to try and clear these defenders on the side. We have a Purifier Beam that has also come down for Karax just to weaken these enemy defenders and clear whatever he can, which is really good use of the Spear of Vadun here. Hybrid tries to aggro these Void Rays, but the Hybrid ends up going down. Again, a few more units on that side. There's a Black Hole that comes down just to stall these units, allow Vorazun to slowly DPS these units dead. And we have another bunch of Void Rays that is making their way here. Very, very nice splits on the Void Rays to just maximize the effectiveness of her units. Half the infested structures have been cleared, which is actually really good. Vorazun has ended up clearing a lot of the structures near on the western side and on the northern side. There is a little bit of an encampment on this side that also needs to be cleared, but Karax is also helping Vorazun with the defensive here. A lot more Kaidaran Monoliths, which will help deal with the special infested. Really, really good here. I don't think there are any monoliths on this. Okay, there's one monolith on here because this side does seem to get aggroed a little bit. But the good thing is now there will be a lot less infested that will be coming out this side. This whole area has been cleared. So basically the eastern side, a little bit on the northern side, and mostly the southern side here will be taking a significant amount of damage, and will be taking a lot of harassment from the special infested, because the infested do spawn from the enemy building. So if you clear an area out, if you clear a side out, you will notice that there'll be a lot less infested that will be targeting that side. That is the only exception is the southern side. This is the default side. The infested will try and attack. This also explains why these rocks here have not been cleared by infested, is because they don't have vision of that side. So if they do not find a path, they will try and go down towards this side. Even though there's no pathing on this side, their default targeting location is the southern side of the allied base here. This area has been essentially cleared as well, which is really good. The one other good thing as well is the Ghost Academies have also been removed. I think there are 2 Ghost Academies on this side. I think there's 1, maybe 2 on here. So clearing those Ghost Academies does mean also that you will get nuked a lot less often. As long as you are paying attention, you will be fine. So Karax is saying on the long run they will probably lose the game. Yes, they are right. The defenses do not look like they are going to be able to hold significantly. But as you can see over here, there are a lot less infested that are attacking this side of the base here. But I think Vorazun is okay. Vorazun is splitting her army up and attacking multiple sides as well. We have a bunch of orbital strikes that's coming down on this fire phase. Generally not good use here for the orbital strikes. Much better to use it to help defend the base here and defend the attacking infested. because Vorazun's basically got this relatively decently. Have another set of Night Swarms that will be coming out now for that. Night Swarm does get unloaded on this side. Orbital Strikes do end up going down here to deal with this Night Swarm. Again, not really effective. The Night Swarm does have a lot of HP, and now we have a nuke that is being dropped on here. The Ghost does seem to get focus fired down by Kaidar and Monolith, so ends up going down. Now the stack wave from the Night Swarm has arrived here and does end up taking down that pylon, which is actually really, really bad. Vorazun's pylon has been lost a little bit here. Vorazun will need to put down the pylon here, but I don't think Vorazun has noticed that yet. There is another small bunch of attack wave here. Will be coming up. Another Night Swarm here that has unloaded, and will send its armies towards Karax's base. Karax will end up losing a lot of those enemies, a lot of those structures here. One of the main problems is Karax has lost his shield battery line in front. The shield batteries were keeping the units away from range of the Dark Pylon, which is not cloaked, obviously, and that is why the problem has arisen.
Base is under fire.
Vorazun slowly poking in. Vorazun has to be really careful with her Void Rays. Does not really want to lose her Void Rays unnecessarily, especially because Karax's Repair Beam is busy working on the rest of his structures. We have another another attack wave here of Infested, and this is where a Solar Lance would be really good here. So unfortunately, Karax has used a lot of their energy on Orbital Strikes, but getting the Solar Lance upgrade with the Solar Flare can actually provide a very, very strong front line for preventing the enemy infested from taking out your units. We have an airdrop here by Amon, and Amon has dropped a lot of mech units on this side, and that is going to lead to a lot of havoc here. The rocks do end up going down. Infested do have range, I think, a little bit of range on the Dark Pylon here, but there are some kaboomers on this side which are giving vision to these structures here. Daytime comes just in time, and a lot of these structures will have to be rebuilt here. Unfortunately, Vorazun has ended up losing a lot of her units. A lot of her Void Rays have ended up going down. There are no units on this side, so Vorazun is just trying to focus fire down what is left of these infested structures. Unfortunately, she has ended up losing them. Seeker Missile does go down on that Void Ray. Void Ray does take damage, does not end up being moved back. And Vorazun will try and take out these Night Swarms. These Night Swarms are really, really nasty, and they will start unloading a lot of scary units. So very important to try and clear that, which Vorazun is doing. And this is going to be very, very close. Trying to clear this. A bunch of Marines are trying to focus fire down that Void Ray, but does not end up surviving. There's a Cyclone that has done a lock-on on one of those Void Rays. Does end up going down. And now we have a bunch of Dark Templars here that are just trying to snipe out these infested structures. Just slowly taking these structures out, clearing whatever she can. And we have another bunch of Void Rays here, so they're focus firing down these units here and trying to take out these structures as well. Dark Templars just focusing down these infested structures on this side, because yeah, the defenses are not going to hold for very long. Vorazun has a few Void Rays left. Notice how Vorazun is not sending her entire army as well through, sending them in small batches, because you don't really want to lose your entire army to one plague here. So just clearing out whatever she can in just small little bits here, using a bunch of 5-6 Void Rays at a time, just to take out these structures here, because yeah, time is of the essence. There's 1 minute and 30 seconds left until the next night comes in, and that next night is going to be really, really nasty, because there are going to be a lot more Night Swarms that will be coming out. And now we have a Purifier Beam as well, as just sent here just to take out some of the enemy defenders. Just focus down to high priority targets. That Viking is still alive. That Viking should be taken out as well, because it was one of the very few things that can actually target these Void Rays. We have another bunch of Marines that are trying to aggro these Void Rays, but the Void Rays have enough range now to stay away from the plague. Now there is a Hybrid Dominator gets focused down by the Orbital Strike, and the Black Hole comes down. You do not want the Hybrid Dominator to cast its Plasma Blast and just destroy that Void Ray, because there is very, very little bit left. We have some more Void Rays that are pushing in on this side. Another bunch of Void Rays here. There is one Ghost Academy here that might actually get focused down as well by the Void Rays. But again, priority just to try and clear out as much as we can. 30 seconds left until the end of the day, and there will be a lot more infested units on this side as well. This entire area has been cleared. Very little infested structures left. This side though, now there are another bunch of Void Rays that are pushing in as well, and we have a few more infested structures here, and we have some more tucked in at the back here. And more orbital strikes just get dropped onto these infested structures, just trying to clear them as quickly as possible. This area has essentially been cleared. That is the last infested structure that is available on this mission, and a bunch of void rays and a black hole ends up going down here, and we finally get some orbital strikes to clean out that last infested structures. That infested structure was the last one, and the commanders have been able to hold, and that is GG.